Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the movie A Quiet Place Part 2 on Netflix. Yeah, it's really kind of weird that it's kind of split up in different kind of places. I mean, they've got the first one on like FX, second one on Netflix. The prequel one is like on MGM Plus or whatnot. I will get to that one eventually, but I actually really enjoyed this one. It was a nice continuation. It kept with the same kind of themes as the first one and at a nice pace. It didn't feel too long, it didn't feel too short, and it was just a continuation and a little bit of an evolution of what we had seen in the previous one. So we had ended that off with them being able to figure out how to fight the Death Angels. So we start this one off actually on day one, showing Lee, Evelyn? Wrong thing there. Evelyn, Reagan, Marcus, and Bo at pretty much a baseball game. Everything's going pretty good. We see that Lee attempts to get food from the grocery store, and the clerk just lets him kind of go because he's dealing with like this older lady that's doing some shit. He's like, okay, that's all right. So he's pretty much got some food for Reagan. We get introduced to Emmett. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, Emmett's definitely the one dude, and Son, I think. And he's doing his best to kind of pretty much still interact with Reagan and learn some of the sign language that she's going for. Evelyn trying to help Marcus pretty much get through his kind of anxiety and everything about the game before everything starts going off the motherfucking rails as the Death Angels start coming in. This was an effective kind of like opening to show the chaos of the first day. And a thing that I did not hit in my first review is that sometimes when we would shift perspective to Reagan, the sound would go out to show her being deaf, and that really was very well utilized in the first one, but even more so here where we get actual real fucking crazy ass jump scares where we see Lee taking and trying to protect Reagan, and then like the Death Angels popping up, cracking into shit, hitting into buses and everything, and shifting between no sound and sound just works very well. It isn't done on a complete and utter level where it will completely and utterly blow out your ears. It's just mainly dependent upon how you kind of keep your volume level on whatever device you're watching on, which is sometimes an issue in certain kind of movies or things. Like there was this Sweeney Todd one that had Johnny Depp in it. And the thing is, the dialogue was so low mixed on certain kind of things that you had to jack that up. And then they moved into the fucking musical number, and it blew your ass back out like fucking Back to the Future. Marty in front of that fucking giant ass fucking speaker and blasting his ass almost through a fucking back wall. That does not happen here. Okay? So if there are any kind of times when sound mix goes completely and utterly off the fucking rails, I will hit on it. But that's one of the great kind of bits here where we see that as he's attempting to protect her, see what's going on, seeing them get into this kind of restaurant, but then someone's phone goes kind of crazy and everything just kind of goes nuts as we see Lee getting her out of there, linking up with Evelyn, Marcus, and Bo, and kind of getting out. We do see that Emmett and his son, I believe, are trying to go off. His brother was like in the military, trying to figure out what's kind of going on. And then we get back to where we're at in our present day timeline as we see that Evelyn and the kids are trying to figure out what to do next as the house is pretty much shut. The barn somehow caught on fucking fire, and they are going to one of the other kind of places that has sent off the Gondor kind of fires, the signal fires. So they kind of go and they trek up there to one of the ones They're trying to be as careful as possible. They're carrying the baby pretty much in their kind of makeshift thing to make sure that it doesn't make that much noise and is protected as possible, which I like that was an actual kind of focus. It isn't overly done and hit over the head, but it is something that is not also forgotten, where it's like, oh, we just can lock this baby in here and it'll be quite alright. One of the kind of plot threads in this movie is that Evelyn has to go out and find oxygen for this contraption. Otherwise, they'd have to soundproof a room and just fucking stay in there for eons until the kid like grew up and you're able to teach don't make fucking sounds and shit. Or if you do, you gotta do them in correct kind of places and spots. Now, a big kind of thing that starts kind of popping off here is fear. Because we see that as a big kind of pivotal thing in Marcus's, but also Reagan's as well. Because as we kind of get into kind of the meat of it, Reagan is more afraid of letting down her father because she has the ability to help people because of what they've learned of the Death Angels. Marcus is just deathly afraid of taking care of the baby, of the world at large. I get his kind of fear too. I kind of connect more with his because I never got to that kind of level. But if push came to shove on certain kind of things and I was in a similar kind of scenario, I could very much see being as afraid as this kid would be. Because we start going through and we see that certain kind of things start setting off the Death Angels popping off. But as they're kind of running through this kind of factory scenario, and we see that somebody with a sniper scope is kind of watching them, he gets hit on by a bear trap that really fucks up his foot and he's screaming and he can't control it. I mean, he has been severely fucking injured, and there is no way to teach someone how to stifle that primal instinct at that kind of point. Like, it's taken me a while. Like, sometimes I'll stub my toe and I'm like, ah! And you just see me stub my toe, stub my arm or whatnot like that. And it's taken me a while to even relegate that kind of thing where depending upon what's going on in the scenario, I'd be like, fuck me, right there, right in that badass spot, motherfucker. But we see that Evelyn and Reagan are able to utilize the kind of portable setup that they've got. She's got an amplifier and everything. Before they had left, she had pretty much taken some stuff to make a portable kind of amplifier to do that to the Death Angels, and they're able to blast them out. Now, I'm not quite sure on their shotgun round counts. That would be the only kind of negative that I would have on this kind of movie. But that is kind of just a kind of trope that kind of exists in certain kind of instances, unless they're very meticulous on their detailing on what they do for that kind of management. It happens, and as long... if it would knock or destroy other kind of plot pacing or story kind of workings, I'm alright with letting that kind of go. It's a minor kind of thing. But we see that they then kind of go through. We find out that there's this dude that's like, come on, gets him in into his kind of sanctuary. Let's see. Send into a soundproof kind of underground, where they even kind of, it's a steel factory, so they kind of hide in the furnaces and stuff like that when the Death Angels kind of pop up, which is a really cool idea. However, you have to do it very exactly. A great thing about this movie is the detail as well, because the Emmett dude has this thing. He has a timer. He has the ability to close it, but make sure that it's closed in such a way that it can be opened from the inside, because normally you don't have things coming out of the steel furnace kind of things that they've got there. And this is where he kind of reveals what's kind of going on, that he lost his wife, he lost his kid, and that he's kind of pretty much broken, that he really didn't want to go and see them. It's just everything that's happened has pretty much screwed him up, screwed him over, and he just wants them pretty much gone. He does let them stay to kind of administer to Marcus's leg, but that's what's pretty much going on. She then wants, and she's like, alright, fine. Like, even trying to, like, she's still trying to connect to him, because even though they've gone through this, like, vast trauma with the Death Angels and everything kind of changing and everything, she's still attempting to, like, help and reach out. However, we start learning that they're able to pick up a radio signal. This one Beyond the Sea. Reagan's able to figure out that it is a thing that is linking that somebody's on an island and that they have to go and check it out. Now, this could either be true or this could be a trap, pretty much trying to lure people and do it. However, she does not want to let down her father and wants to utilize this. If there's a way to kind of communicate to people that they can fight the Death Angels effectively and kill them, she's going to do it. And she needs to do it. She cannot let her father down. Her father sacrificed himself to save his family. And the least she can do is take this thing that... he's the one that did this thing with the hearing aid. He's the one that, like, helped him and has been doing all this stuff to look into fighting the Death Angels and trying to figure out what's kind of going on. Even if it's just his own little corner of the world and trying to protect his family, but then trying to, like, expand that out further. It shows the good side of what can be done when you look up to a hero, but also the bad side, because she just goes off on her own, taking the shotgun, taking everything, leaving Evelyn with pretty much just a pistol to kind of go off and find oxygen for the baby. And she then pleads with Emmett to go and find her and bring her home. Let's see here. Yeah. And he really doesn't want to do it at first, but we see that he relents later on, because we see that Reagan is pretty much walking barefoot off the path, and her feet are bloody and everything. She's gotten into this train that is completely fucked up and derailed, and is attempting to look for first aid. And then she, of course, runs into a Death Angel. Thing is, we learn in this that it's best to pretty much have backup when you're doing this shit. Because Reagan being deaf, she doesn't really see the Death Angel until it gets pretty close, and she's attempting to use the shotgun, but that's when Emmett kind of pops up and be like, okay, come on, let's take you home. And she is adamant. She's like, I can do this. And he eventually relents. Is like, fine, all right, we'll do this. And he starts kind of learning more. He hasn't really, it's been over a year pretty much at this point, so he is kind of learning more ways to communicate with her as this is going on, but it's more of like, he just kind of wants to be done with this. Let's see. But she's able to persuade him with what she's able to do, showing what goes on with this amplifier and everything, and he's like, fine, okay, let's do this. Seeing him kind of come out of his shell, and Reagan having a nice kind of influence on him. So Evelyn goes off, she reminisces on what's going on with Bo and Lee, and decides to leave her wedding ring there. After she takes pretty much 2 canisters, we see that Marcus is deathly afraid that he will fuck up something with the kid. Now, it's not explicitly stated, but you see in how uncomfortable he is around the kid and being left alone. Because Evelyn's like, I've given you everything, I've told you everything, you'll be fine. But the thing is, no matter... I understand it from the parents' kind of perspective. Now, I don't have any kids. I've never even really taken care of a baby before, so I am very, very much in Marcus's camp of being afraid that I would fuck something up. This is a child. And I've had things like that with, like, animals and shit, where I just find, like, a kitten or whatnot, and I'm like, I'm afraid I'm going to fucking kill this thing. And he's, of course, freaking out. And she's like, no, just stay there and you'll be fine. He, of course, decides to kind of, like, escape from the situation and kind of look around. He then, of course, finds Emmett's wife's dead body, freaks out because he wasn't expecting to see a corpse, and then that brings the Death Angels upon them. Well, specifically one. And he gets back down, he hides them in the furnace. However, in his panic and fear, he does not do it correctly. He probably has only seen Emmett do it a couple times, but he does not have the towel, and even though he's got the kind of stopwatch to get out, because if you stay in there, you're going to lose oxygen. And then he starts freaking out and tries to share as much oxygen with the baby as possible. However, he is not regulating his breaths and everything, so he's in complete freak-out mode. Now, do I say this as bad writing or bad character? Fuck no. This is exactly what we have seen for this kid, and it completely makes sense that he does not have the understanding to kind of, okay, I'm freaking out, but I need to calm down right now. We are at least safe from immediate physical danger. We just need to chill and use this oxygen as effectively as possible. That's when Evelyn kind of comes back, utilizes one of the tanks to try and blow up the Death Angel, but not working out in that favor. However, she is able to get into the furnace with one of the other kind of tanks, and they're pretty much stuck in there. This is where their kind of arcs then kind of start kind of lining up. So, we see that Reagan and Emmett pretty much get to a pier. However, they're set upon by, like, I'm saying cannibal bandits, motherfuckers. They pretty much capture Emmett. Emmett's able to pretty much save Reagan's earpiece. It looks like they're either going to utilize her as kind of Mad Max style of passing Reagan around or even eating her. And then Emmett Abel pretty much like draws the Death Angels to him because they had put this kind of contraption on him that if he moved, it would create a lot of noise and pretty much bring them down. And they brought him down, and they started taking out all the bandits and everything because they pretty much utilized a trap of a little girl crying, and that's pretty much what got Emmett captured. But they're able to kind of escape. Emmett almost getting drowned, which was an effectively crazy-ass scene to see everything kind of going on. But we also learned that the Death Angels can't swim. So, Emmett and Reagan are able to take the boat to the island, and we find out that it's actually a two-parter. Someone is doing this whole thing with this broadcast. There are people that had escaped to that island. However, we'd seen that other people within the world had utilized that as an effect to get these people here. However, we also have to keep in mind the boat with the one Death Angel that is still in effect in play. So they get there, they're like crazy, they're like, they can be as loud as they want, everything's kind of going all right. Emmett's like, I'm sorry, Reagan, you were right, you're correct. We get introduced, let me see. Let's see. Oh, he's just called Man on the Island. Jamon Hunsu. He's also in Gladiator. The first Gladiator with Russell Crowe. Sorry, I know there's Gladiator and Gladiator 2, but for some reason I felt like I needed to be like, yeah. And he's just like, yeah, it got really kind of crazy. The National Guard pretty much were evacuating people. There were going to be 12 boats, but everybody started like pushing and drawing the Death Angels, and only 2 escaped. So Emmett's pretty much kind of ruminating on everything, but sees that the boat that had the one Death Angel on it has come on to the island, and he's trying to warn everybody as everything starts going to shit. However, the man on the island is able to get into a car and pretty much is trying to drive the Death Angel away from the rest of the settlement. He has they saved another kid and his son and kind of put him locked into this kind of closet. The Death Angel pretty much is like attacking and everything, and they pretty much get to the broadcast station. However, he then plays the kind of monster movie kind of trope that really sucks to be like, I gotta go save my family, and then gets completely and utterly ganked by the Death Angel. So we see Emmett and Reagan then kind of traipsing through the station, trying to get to the broadcast room. And they're trying their best to be as quiet as possible, and Emmett pretty much sacrifices himself to keep the Death Angel away as she's able to get there and starts the feedback loop. And this is where their kind of like grown-up kind of badass moments come into play and effect. Both of them, Reagan and Marcus, they do this to kind of protect themselves and the rest of their family. They are then able to fight, taking up the kind of mantle of adulthood in this world. It sucks that they have to go this route, but they have decided to fight and take these, you don't want people to have to kind of do this stuff, but they have seen these kind of things and they take it upon themselves. The most important kind of bit is what's communicated, at least to me in this movie, is that they choose these things. Because we see that it's kind of freaking out. Because Reagan did this. and we see it on the one that was going after Emmett, that his leg's now fucked up, and then the one's also going after the rest of the family. Marcus goes out, picks up the revolver that Evelyn had, and shoots that one, and Reagan pretty much uses a kind of makeshift item and just bashes in the head of the other one. And it's like, all right, we see them kind of getting that together, and we see that the last shot, which is very similar to the first one, is the hearing aid kind of connected to the microphone, and then cuts out there. It's like, ooh, nice. Ending a movie is pretty difficult. Like, you want to make sure that you have a decent enough ending, depending upon what your objective is with it. This, I think, is a nice way to kind of have a nice kind of resolution, and you have your kind of climax, and then the following action can be the kind of impetus where we will start for, like, the next one, potentially. But if not, you had the first one where it's like, with the gun, getting ready to pretty much go with what was going on. This is the next kind of evolution with that, showcasing that we have now expanded broader with the use of the hearing aid and a broadcasting system, and we'll see how far it kind of works out. I know that they're working on a third one, and that the one that deals with Day One is more considered a spin-off one. I think it's very interesting that we've gotten this into a franchise kind of thing, but I don't say that meanly or anything like that. It's like, oh, damn, they did a pretty good job on these movies. Like, I'm invested in the characters. I think it's really kind of cool to see how they kind of grow through these movies. They're tightly paced to me. We get nice lore, world building, and character development all in these packages. That is a hard thing to get and accomplish in any kind of movie. And to be able to get that, as well as good, decent effects, and effects that are done, like, you know how to use them. You don't overdo them, you don't overplay them, you don't spend a fuck ton of money just to do it. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, look at the giant monster cock, man, with the fucking testicles just dropping and everything. It's like, that costs like $500 million and it's there for like 2 minutes. We don't have any actors now. Yeah, but look at that monster cock and his balls. It's like, okay. Woo! That does not happen here. And I'm intrigued to see where they're going to go for the third one. It's an effective use of everything kind of going on. I don't think that the monsters are overplayed. I think it was a nice escalation of it without overutilizing it. Still going kind of more along the Jaws effect. I think there was a Jaws reference in the first part of this with Brody's Pizza. I don't know if it was, but that'd be really fucking cool if it was. Because Jaws, I at least think that Jaws has a really good, tight kind of effect and inspiration on this movie. And the people who were involved in here took the correct lessons from Jaws. Even though the thing is like, the fucking thing is broken, why can't we use it more? We just gotta use it as effectively as we can. If we only get to have this fucking thing do one thing, it's gonna be the badass thing. Okay. Man, I didn't expect to like these movies as much as I did, but I'm happy to hold these up as like some of my like new favorite movies, like a nice solid franchise, just that really does world building, war building, and character building with a good plot structured in on it, without having to be like without being vastly too short, where it's like, holy fucking shit, we had to plot race this, or like 4 fucking hours for no reason. That is a hard thing where I can watch a movie and be like, I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't shorten it. I wouldn't lengthen it. I wouldn't cut this thing. I wouldn't cut that thing. Yeah. So that's why I'm really liking these and would recommend these. Again, most of my recommendation upon this would be based pretty much similarly on the first one. There's not an overabundance of gore and focusing on it, but it's not completely shied away either. The effects for Marcus's foot and leg was nasty and really got me into why he would be just screaming like that, but it's not to the point where it's like, oh my God, I could see bone chips everywhere. I'm gonna go puke. It's not a pimple popper kind of thing where you're like, I'm very uncomfortable with looking at this. Kind of shit. No. Yeah, and I think even though it's a kind of crazy situation, I think this is a pretty interesting kind of franchise where you could get relatively young people, more along the lines of like Reagan's age, and adults to have a decent time with this film where you can kind of see both sides for, like, okay, the adults want to take care and protect the kids, and the kids want to also get into their own as well. And seeing that transition here as the second one was really fucking cool, and seeing them both step up in their own ways. Yeah. So, those are my opinions on the movie. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.